the Church of Scientology. Even the name evokes a sense of mystery. What goes on behind those closed doors? They present an image of a loving community, a group united by shared beliefs. But what if the truth is far more sinister? What if, instead of unity, Scientology thrives on division? Today we're going to pull back the curtain. We'll expose the heartbreaking truth about Scientology and its devastating impact on families. Join me as we delve into the shadowy world of Scientology. Brace yourself for the truth. At the heart of the controversy lies a chilling policy. It's called disconnection. Imagine being told you can no longer speak to your own child. Imagine being forced to cut ties with your parents, your siblings, simply because they questioned Scientology's teachings. This policy, enforced with an iron fist, is designed to maintain control. It silences dissent and ensures absolute loyalty to the church. But at what cost? The emotional toll on families is immeasurable. How can any organization justify such cruelty? How can they claim to value family while simultaneously tearing them apart? This level of control is nothing short of Orwellian. Scientology presents itself as a religion of self-improvement, a path to spiritual enlightenment. But beneath the surface lies a dark truth, a policy so cruel, so inhumane, that it has become synonymous with the church itself. Disconnection. Imagine being told you can no longer speak to your own child, your parent, your sibling, simply because they dared to question Scientology's teachings. The cruelty of disconnection lies in its absolute nature. The church demands absolute loyalty, and any deviation, no matter how small, is met with swift and brutal punishment. The impact of disconnection on families is nothing short of devastating. This is not a religion. It is a cult that thrives on fear and isolation. The church's control extends far beyond the disconnection policy. It permeates every aspect of a Scientologist's life, dictating who they can befriend, where they can work, even what they can think. From the moment a person enters the world of Scientology, they're subjected to a constant barrage of indoctrination. Members are encouraged to report any perceived transgressions, any whisper of doubt or dissent to the church authorities. This creates an environment where trust is impossible, where even loved ones become potential informants. The information gleaned during auditing sessions can be used to blackmail or discredit individuals. This is the reality for Scientologists living under the iron fist of obedience. The true horror of Scientology's disconnection policy lies not just in the act of separation, but in the constant fear of it. It hangs over every relationship, a silent threat that can shatter lives in an instant. Imagine living with the knowledge that a single misstep, a moment of doubt, a whispered criticism could lead to the irrevocable loss of your loved ones. The fear of disconnection is not limited to those who have directly experienced it. It casts a long shadow over entire families, creating a climate of self-censorship and fear of reprisal. The result is a pervasive sense of isolation, a profound loneliness that permeates every aspect of life. The stories of those who have endured disconnection are heartbreaking testaments to the human cost of this cruel policy. Scientology's tactics extend far beyond overt threats of disconnection. They are masters of manipulation, skillfully sowing seeds of mistrust within families, turning loved ones against each other. Imagine a child being told that their parents' doubts about Scientology are a sign of a deeper spiritual sickness. The church encourages a culture of suspicion, where questioning is equated with disloyalty. Family members are encouraged to view each other through a lens of distrust. This creates an environment where love becomes conditional, contingent upon absolute adherence to Scientology's teachings. This insidious form of emotional manipulation erodes the very foundation of trust that families are built upon. Central to Scientology's control over its members is the practice of auditing. This seemingly innocuous term masks a deeply invasive and manipulative process designed to extract intimate details about an individual's thoughts, fears, and past transgressions. The information gleaned during these auditing sessions is not kept confidential. Instead, it is meticulously recorded and archived, creating a treasure trove of personal data that can be used to manipulate and control individuals long after the session's over. The auditing process is particularly damaging within families. Spouses are often encouraged to audit each other, creating a situation where the most intimate details of their relationship are laid bare. The weaponization of vulnerability is perhaps the most insidious aspect of Scientology's hold over its members. The true measure of any organization's integrity lies in how it treats those who dare to question it. In the case of Scientology, dissent is not tolerated. Those who speak out against the church, who question its teachings or expose its abuses, are met with swift and brutal retaliation. The church employs a sophisticated and well-funded apparatus dedicated to silencing its critics. This creates an environment where speaking out comes at a tremendous personal cost, often leading to financial ruin, social isolation, and the very real threat of harassment and intimidation. Families of those who leave Scientology often find themselves caught in the crosshairs. The stories of those who have dared to speak out against Scientology are both harrowing and inspiring. Meet Sarah. Sarah was raised in Scientology, her family fully immersed in the church's teachings. She had a close bond with her younger sister, Emily, but their shared history meant nothing to the church when Emily began to question Scientology's teachings. Sarah, deeply entrenched in Scientology's teachings at the time, felt compelled to report her sister's transgressions to the church authorities. Emily was labeled a potential trouble source, and Sarah was ordered to disconnect from her sister. It wasn't until Sarah herself began to question Scientology's teachings that she realized the true extent of the church's manipulation. Section 2, A Mother's Anguish, the Ultimate Betrayal. The pain of disconnection is perhaps most acutely felt by parents who are forced to choose between their faith and their children. Imagine a mother being told that her child, the embodiment of her love and hopes and dreams, is a threat to her spiritual salvation. This was the impossible choice forced upon Mary, a devout Scientologist for over 2 decades. Her son, David, had grown disillusioned with the church, his once unwavering faith crumbling under the weight of its hypocrisy and control. David's decision to leave Scientology was met with swift and brutal retaliation. He was declared a suppressive person, his name added to a list of those deemed enemies of the church. Mary was ordered to disconnect from her own son, to cut off all contact, to treat him as if he were dead. The anguish was unbearable, a mother's worst nightmare realized. Mary was torn. Her love for her son ran deep, an unbreakable bond forged over a lifetime of shared moments, laughter, and tears. But the church had become her world, her community, her source of meaning and purpose. The fear of losing everything she held dear, and the fear of facing eternal damnation weighed heavily on her soul. In the end, the church's indoctrination proved too strong. Mary made the heart-wrenching decision to obey, to sacrifice her son on the altar of her faith. She disconnected from David, her silence a testament to the church's power to break even the strongest of family bonds. The guilt and the grief gnawed at her, a constant reminder of the impossible choice she had been forced to make. Section 3. Picking up the pieces. Life after disconnection. The scars of disconnection run deep, leaving many former Scientologists struggling to rebuild their lives, and men shattered relationships. Imagine the daunting task of navigating a world that you have been taught to fear and distrust, a world where your own family has been turned against you. This is the reality for countless individuals who have escaped the clutches of Scientology. The process of healing is long and arduous. The emotional toll of disconnection, the guilt, the anger, and the profound sense of loss can be overwhelming. Many former Scientologists suffer from PTSD-like symptoms, haunted by nightmares, flashbacks, and a pervasive sense of fear and anxiety. For those who have been disconnected from family, the path to reconciliation is fraught with uncertainty. Some family members, still deeply entrenched in Scientology, refuse any contact, their minds poisoned by the church's teachings. Others, while sympathetic, are terrified of the consequences of associating with someone who has been declared a suppressive person. Yet despite the challenges, stories of hope and healing emerge from the wreckage of Scientology's disconnection policy. Former members, finding strength in shared experiences, form support groups and online communities, offering each other solace, understanding, and a safe space to process their trauma. Finding strength in shared experiences, a community of survivors. The power of shared experience is a powerful antidote to isolation and fear. Former members connect, share stories, and discover they are not alone. This realization is a beacon of hope, a reminder that healing is possible. Support groups and online forums have become lifelines. Here, individuals find solace and understanding. They share stories, offer advice, and celebrate victories. The sense of community is palpable, a testament to the human spirit's need for connection. These groups become surrogate families, offering love and support. The healing process is not linear, but by coming together, former Scientologists reclaim their lives. Their courage and resilience remind us that the human spirit can endure and triumph. Section 1, the unbreakable spirit. Love transcends dogma. Despite the church's attempts to sever the bonds of family, to extinguish the flames of love and loyalty, the human spirit persists. The stories of families torn apart by Scientology are undeniably tragic, but they are also stories of remarkable resilience, of love that refuses to be silenced, of connections that transcend the artificial barriers erected by dogma and fear. Imagine a mother, years after being forced to disconnect from her son, secretly following his online life, celebrating his milestones from afar, her heart aching with every missed birthday, every graduation, every moment of joy and sorrow that she is forbidden to share. This is the quiet defiance of a mother's love, a love that cannot be extinguished by even the most insidious forms of control. Imagine siblings separated by the church's decree, finding ways to reconnect their shared history, their childhood memories, proving stronger than the walls of silence erected between them. A chance encounter, a coded message on social media, a whispered conversation in the dead of night. These become acts of rebellion, affirmations of the enduring power of family. These stories of quiet resistance, of love finding a way, are a testament to the indomitable nature of the human spirit. They remind us that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, even when confronted with forces that seek to divide and conquer, the bonds of family, the ties that bind us to one another, can endure. Section 2. Reclaiming their lives, from brokenness to resilience. The journey from the wreckage of Scientology's disconnection policy is rarely easy. It is a journey of healing, of confronting trauma, of rebuilding trust, not just in others, but also in oneself. But amidst the pain and the uncertainty, there is also a profound sense of liberation, of reclaiming one's voice, one's identity, one's right to love and be loved without condition. Imagine the exhilaration of speaking your truth without fear of reprisal, of embracing your loved ones without the specter of disconnection looming over every interaction. This is the freedom that former Scientologists are fighting for, the freedom to live authentically, to love openly, to rebuild their lives on their own terms. The stories of those who have escaped Scientology's grip are not just tales of survival. They are stories of triumph. They are stories of individuals who have stared into the abyss of loss and emerged stronger, more compassionate, more determined to create a world where families are not torn apart by ideology, where love is celebrated, not condemned. These former Scientologists, through their courage and resilience, are not only rebuilding their own lives, but are also working to dismantle the systems of control that shattered so many families. They are speaking out, raising awareness, advocating for change. Their voice is a powerful force for good in a world that desperately needs to hear their message of hope and healing. A call for awareness and action. We've confronted the devastating impact of Scientology's policies on families. We must transform our outrage into action, our sorrow into strength. This isn't just about exposing the truth about Scientology. It's about recognizing the insidious nature of cults in general, educating ourselves and others about the dangers of such organizations. Reach out, seek help, and never give up hope.